Ulonga tabati yada tó yẹ kó máa da ifá inú tó yẹ kó jẹun lọ fi bí pa ọba tálá ọba takuntakun Ṣàngó Èṣù Ògún Ọya Ọ̀ṣun kí ni ṣẹ̀ṣe tán ṣe nílé yìí o ó jẹ́ lọ jára rẹ̀.
Lafayette, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I'm your host, Orisha Bami, and today we have on back again the H.P.S. Empress Yamaya Faye. Peace and blessings. Welcome to the podcast. I appreciate you.
Peace and blessings, beloved. So I open up the sanctuary with the bell, honey. Let's allow the divine to come in and be clear with everything that we're saying, you know, for hearts and minds to receive that liberation for their inner and overstanding. So how are you, divine? How are you?
I'm blessed. And I'm here, ready to get this good work in, man. Ready to get this good Ashe going in these Ashe streets.
I love that.
Here now.
I love that. That's nice.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, man. So with that, I want to give a shout out to you first and foremost, because I knew that first show was going to be dope. We got great feedback, you know, in the comments from the tribe. There was a lot of love on the live stream. You know what I mean? I knew it was going to be a divine alignment. So shout out to the tribe, you know, for showing love and showing up and showing out. I appreciate all of y'all. We appreciate all the new supporters, all the new subscribers, all the new members, everybody. We appreciate you all. And we're here to make it do what it do.
Almost definitely. Give thanks. Thanks for offering, you know. Thanks for connecting. Thanks for staying aligned with your course, being open and receptive to receive that which the divine source wants to move in us, through us, around us, for us, and to us. Hello, Soul Tribe. Hello. Hola, buenos dias. How you doing? Let's get into it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So today we got a dope topic, man. Divine feminine awakening. That's something that we've been really, really heavy on this channel, really since inception, since the birth of Ashe, but more so in the last, I'll say month and a half, 2 months, it's been heavy from Mamageddon to all kind of different shows that we've had that was, you know, in honor and reverence to the mothers. But then you coming in, doing what you did last week. Shout out to the Wunam, who's been holding it down since I met her for the last maybe 4 or 5 months, you know, bringing the powerful feminine energy as well. So it's like now the alignment is aligning, you know, on a whole nother level, on a whole nother frequency. And I'm excited about it. So before we came on, we were talking about Ibase Baba Ogunye. Today is Ogun Day in the Oshe Ifa calendar. And we were talking about Ogun. And shout out to 100 too, man. 100 been getting a lot of love on the channel. 100 is from Ogun State, if I'm not mistaken, Nigeria. He's the artist who sings the intro. And matter of fact, he got a new song that's dropping, I think today or tomorrow. I'll be sharing that too, man. So shout out to 100. He's a resident over there in Ogun.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness. So he can put in the chat then, now because I kind of butcher some of the names. It's Abakatu, which is that capital of the area of Ogun. Which is also the housing area for your Moja, you know, that riverbank, you know. So I might have butchered that up, but he can help us there.
Got you. Yeah, I'll holler at him. I think that might be it, or it's close if it ain't it, for sure.
Yeah, that's how you say it. That's how you say it.
I
The
think.
enunciation. Rising. Oh, y'all in that. What time is it? I think it's about that. Well, it's rising here for me.
9:25. Well, PM. That's on my end.
Yes, that's on your end. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
All right, Devon. Let's do it.
So you were sharing a little story that I was like, man, that'd be good for the show. I would love to hear that. You know, I'm sure the tribe would too. In regards to, you know, your connection to not just Ogun, but, you know, Ogun State and, you know, the Imoja River. So can you kind of share with us, you know, how that aligns, you know, with your journey being, you know, a child of Imoja, and then that way we can kind of give that balance to the feminine and masculine energy, with especially honoring Ogun today with him being his day, and then, you know, your story and the connection to Ogun, you know, Baba Ogun with the river of Imoja.
All right. Well, most definitely giving all divine gratitude to the source of all that lives in us, works through us, to us, for us, and by us. And with that being said, briefly, the name given to me, it was Jamaya. My
Mhm.
mother actually changed the J from a Y.
Mhm.
So I changed it back after doing the research on that. And the depth of going in, doing the research on Yamoja. Of course, it's spelled different ways and
Right.
enunciated different ways.
Mhm.
And just connecting with all of the different traits that she had, realizing more and more that that was my life walked out in a different way. I had taken on certain characteristics unannounced to me that were a part of who I am. And resonating right now in this current day as my identity, something that I had to mold and shape uh, in the present state with having affirmations, meaning from other people, inner and overstanding it, and solely, oftentimes, with after having to just trust myself, regardless of what I was going through. And in that walk, I would get prophets sent to me on my what in the Bible we would call a Damascus experience or Job experience, things like that. I was actually walking through a lot of different things that is written in the Bible um, and context, and they tend to be more, it was leaning more towards male. Now I did have the Esther and the Ruth moments, and I'm giving you these figures because it aligns so much with a woman in her awakening of the divine feminine, and balance it out in the balance of male and female. So in that walk, having the prophets coming to me, it was always a lot of Nigerians, first and foremost, a lot of Nigerians, always somewhere around me in some presence. Uh, and so during the research, then listening to them and them just coming with a prophetic word, just out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, while going through certain hard times in my life, and then they disappear. Um, the more I crossed and traveled, and of course coming overseas, being in Europe, after researching my name and doing different things of this sort, as far as the community, now I was now even more closer to the people that resonate in these particular Benin tribe, going to Cameroon, so all of these people are circling around, and just, as source moves, I
Mhm.
was getting messages of that which was already preceding my future.
Mm.
Because everybody learns on their own time and space.
Yep.
Some who called and more obedient to the walk, or are able to manifest more in that walk because they're sitting in the land and all of the people are doing that. So
Mhm.
that's one of the biggest things. And just as I started to do that more, of course, now I had priests coming, a lot of priests from Nigeria, the Benin, um, the area of where we discuss Yamoja and the community, the tribe there, and the priests there they just kept coming, and I was
Mhm.
just like, okay, source, my walk has been walk first, and then I'll give you affirmation, then I'll tell you this is what you're doing. So I
Mm.
had to develop such a trust level within the inner self, regardless of anybody helping me along the way,
Right.
so I can open up in these particular areas to receive the messages that were coming.
Mm.
So that particular, there were a couple priests were like, "Oh my gosh, do you know who you are? Do you? This is what it is."
Mm.
And then certain things in the conversation, going back and forth with them, aligned with that which I was already walking,
Mm.
that which I was journaling. That nobody else knew those particular things, so it had to be source moving on behalf of me to get me to start to move even more on behalf of what I was given.
Mm.
That kind of helped it all out. So
Gotcha.
these areas, and this is where I poured my lamentations out and had sacrifices done in the traditional way,
Mm.
um, that people from certain tribes that are in Benin, or certain parts of Nigeria, Cameroon, different Senegalese,
Mhm.
Senegal, it start to like just unfold so naturally and so with ease.
I say.
You know?
Hmm.
Seriously.
Yeah. That's how spirit moves though, man. It's amazing. Like it never ceases to amaze me just how divine alignment is, like in general. Like it's something that I've seen happen, I don't know how many times on this show or just in life in general. You know, how things happen.
Yes.
Like it could be something that can look like a roadblock or some sort of setback, or you know what I mean? Something that's like
Mm-hmm.
blocking your path or your way, but all along it really was an opportunity to catapult you to take a quantum leap. You know what I'm saying? But
There
it
you
just in
go.
that
There
present
you go.
moment it looked like that. But then when you look at
Yes.
the grand scheme of things, as it all unfolds, usually it was a reason why, you know, your path was guided
Absolutely.
in which, you know, the direction that it was guided to. And I think that's where the
Yes.
activation of obedience, like just listening, you know, and being obedient to being guided, like that turns into a superpower to me.
Ooh,
Like that could
that
be
is
like,
definitely a
mhm,
superpower. That's the superpower right there.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the superpower.
for real, yeah.
That's a superpower.
Yeah, yeah, because it's
People
like
get
it's
crazy.
like yeah, it's almost like in the Matrix when they were called to get a line out, when they had to get out of the Matrix, to, you know, and they had to go to a phone booth to get
Yes.
that line. Okay, so on
Yes.
the other
Yes.
side you had the twins like Dozier and I forgot the other one's name, but they're guiding them throughout the maze of the Matrix. I feel like
You
for me
better tell the
personally,
truth.
that's spirit for me. Like listening
Yes.
as I'm getting that intel, that
Yes.
insight that is connected to source, that's
Yes.
guiding me through this wave and this matrix that we're in right now. Like that for me, that's what's been kind of helping me to get through the matrix, you
Definitely.
know.
Most definitely. It is two sides of the self, but we
Mhm.
got to realize there's two sides of the self that we
Mm,
operate. That's two sides of us. You
yes.
know, we'll get more into it, but you,
Yeah.
yes, most definitely, beloved.
Yeah.
That's it.
Nah, yeah, let's just gonna get on in. That's what we came here to do, is to get into it. Let's get on into it, man. Cause listen, you
Man.
mentioned something on the last call that I wanted to go into, but we was moving in a direction. I didn't want to throw off the flow of the river, man. So I was like, I'm
Tell
gonna wait.
me.
But it was when you was mentioning something about women having 3 wombs. Now I
I,
know you mentioned it, and I know why, but because like I said, I wanted to get all the way into it. When we talk
oh,
about the Ifa tradition, right? The Ifa
mm,
spiritual system, as an Ifa priest, you are only considered to be an Ifa priest if you have the consecration of not just the ceremonies of going into Ifa, but you receive the womb of Ifa, which is also now is the containment of Odu, right? The
mm,
feminine aspect and the feminine principle of the whole entire divination system, right?
say
So
it.
in order to do that, a man now becomes a man with a womb, which now becomes an Ifa priest, or a Ifa priest now becomes a
Please,
Babalawo.
please say
so
it.
so
Please say it.
I, so I
Please.
wanted to see how, like, where you're going to go when we talk about the activation of the feminine, the divine feminine. You know, the
Mhm.
womb is definitely has to be, I believe, a foundation or a principle of, you know, origin where we start, being that that's where life begins. You know, in origin, anyways, in the womb of the womb man. So, how
Yes.
significant and important is the womb of the womb man for the activation of the divine feminine, but also in regards to, can you kind of break down what how that ties into the 3 wombs, how you mentioned, you know, in our previous call as well.
All right. So, oh, baby, that was good. That was real good. Um, that's those type of things that just make your mouth water, and the spirit just got to loose and break up some stuff because the real
Mhm.
talk.
Mhm.
I had to be broken. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And most people don't want to be broken because they're afraid of that process. And
Mm.
oftentimes we go through a broken process based on trauma. So
Mm.
when we speak about the wound, now the wound, as you said, so eloquently put, the wound is the process for all of us that we must go through. And that particular state is one that we oftentimes don't get the sensitivity area or the details of that because of what wound we come out of.
Mm.
And then we're into a certain way of life, a certain way of living. So we don't get to really develop all or take on everything because oftentimes people believe that we lose and we forget who we are. But I believe we actually know who we are. And it's once we start walking through a certain process with the people that are around us that we come into, that's what starts tearing down or blocking the areas of who we know we are and us actually applying that application. So the woman, of course, she births civilization, right? So This particular woman for me is one that has to know who she is. So I would ask all of the divine feminines that are on this call or will hear this call is first and foremost, can you identify who you are? I mean, who you truly are, not with the things that we add on, honey. We love some accessories and all that, but I need to talk about who you really are within self. Who is that source? We have a physical wound, we have a mental wound, and we have a verbal wound. And that's why I say we have three wounds, because literally, physically, we can give birth. Okay, physically. So we making the earth. We doing the earth. Then we literally have a wound, which is the mind that contains certain things as well and creates. Then we have a verbal wound that will speak forth that very thing or something that doesn't line up with your call and path. Now, in that process, to me, that's why I say it's very important for a woman to really understand who she is and mother herself first, get herself first, because she has the power threefold. There's triple fold right there. Okay, she can birth it physically, she can birth it with her mouth, and then she can birth it mentally. So for her to be able to contain herself, operate within herself, then and rule by her own mind, when she gives birth, physically, she's going to be able to birth also spiritually with using her verbal communications. And the wound, now how that spreads to a man, and I've said that to men, baby, you got a wound too, but it's not the wound that you're looking at. Let's look at it from a metaphysical aspect. Let's work it in that particular way, in that realm. Spiritually, you can open your mouth, you can say a whole lot of stuff. You can actually do that as well. You can have the power of doing that. Now you participate also, because a woman cannot give birth if she doesn't have that male seed and that DNA to move through her to help form something of this sort, or we would call it. And I say something because some of people that have been birthed out, they coming through with no souls. Okay, I digress on that. It's another subject.
Listen, keep on driving. Keep on driving.
Some people just coming in empty because they left empty. If you really believe and have done your research and you enter and understand certain things for yourself, and you've dealt with people making transitions or listened to some of the elders and what they would say in the spiritual context of how we do ascend and we return, that's based on your life cycle and your purpose and path. And how do you know that but to research the self? So when I speak to a woman and I say, mama, you got three wounds, you got to take care. You can't be just flopping back and forth. You have to own yourself. You have to walk that through. And it is a journey to walk that through. So if you're going to give birth or plan on giving birth, or let's just say, even if you have given birth, one will do the best. They'll try to do the best to their ability, but it starts with you starting with yourself first. So birthing that particular human being, okay, you are birthing something that is in skin, but you're birthing first in the spirit realm. I had to realize, having twins, I needed to speak over them while they were in this womb, while they were covered. I had to make sure that I was eating right, while I was doing certain, and I had big old babies, and they were letting me know that, okay, you 6'2", but it's two of us and we 8 pounds. We huge. I had to really have a moral compass and a spiritual balance for myself. And that took walk to like, okay, there's life growing in me. How am I going to help this life or these lives move and operate? How am I going to do that? I had to speak first and then allow myself to align with that. So oftentimes there's a lot of mothers in the physical realm, but there's not enough mothers using the spiritual realm in the physical realm to help that manifestation of whatever it is to come through. So the wound is quite powerful. The wound is what you're doing with the wound. How are you handling your wound? Yeah. So that leads into spiritual baths, and that leads, that whole embodiment of working with yourself.
Yeah, no, that's deep. So, excuse me. I love that, and I know there was a particular order that we were going to go initially, but the way, spirit be working,
Here
boy, spirit be
goes.
moving. I seen another
Flowers.
turn signal come on, so I said I don't know why, but I got to turn down this boulevard because that's what I feel. Because everything you just said, it goes into alignment of the power of the tongue, right? And if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken, in Yoruba, I believe it's is it Ofo Ashe? I think it's Ofo Ashe. Tribe, I know somebody in there would know. I think it's Ofo Ashe. Is it Ofo? I think it's Ofo Ashe.
Mhm.
But anyway, the power of the
Mhm.
tongue, right? And the power of the tongue is real, and that goes to there's so many different quotes that that I feel like signify that phrase and encompasses it. Like it's kind of like whether you think you're right, whether you think you can, you're right.
Mhm.
Whether,
Mhm.
and whichever way you speak it, that's what it is. So a lot of times, I think some people are so naturally, I guess, inundated with so many things going on around us in our environments that we have a negative, natural negative demeanor or disposition, right? But how
Mhm.
significant is the power of the tongue in a positive manner? Because I know it works both ways. I know you can activate the power of the ashe through the tongue in a positive manner, and I know you can do it also in a negative
Mhm.
manner. But when it comes to dealing with the womb and dealing with spirit and giving birth and creating, through
There you
this
go.
we call ashe or the verbal communication frequency or whatever you want to call it. How significant is the power of the tongue when you're speaking that? Because I remember I used to read to my sons in the womb. When they were in the womb, I would read to them, and
There
then
you
as
go.
they came out of the womb, I've always talked to them like grown men. I've never talked to them like children from the time they were literally for
Say
me to hold.
it.
And
Say
I've done that
it.
with all young people that I deal with because
Exactly.
that's when I look at a young person, whether I'm in the classroom, I'm on the basketball court, or the football field, anyway, I'm coaching and teaching them, they're my children at that
Facts.
point.
Facts.
And that's how I
Facts.
look at them. So I talk to them the
Yes.
same way. But I know that when you speak things on you, you usually get those
Oh,
things.
say it. Say it. Say it.
Mm,
I'm going back to the woman. Okay, mother of civilization. First, mothering yourself. The biggest thing, speaking over yourself. The one thing that taught me oof, the depth of how one can birth things with their tongue. I saw when I saw a lot of women giving positive affirmations and also castrating. The power of the tongue is just so just ooh, where they were
whoa, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, I got it. You got to put it in reverse because I heard it, but I know some people in the back didn't get that. I know some
yeah.
people didn't. I know some people like, man, you need to ask her again. What did she just say? I know some people saying that. So for those who saying that, including myself, could you say
Ooh,
that again? Because that you said something. Said
there
something.
was
I don't know
a
how many
lot
people
of
caught
women.
it.
Yeah, there was a lot of women when I was growing up that they birthed confidence, but they were also castrating
Mm,
with their mouth. They were very castrating. Oftentimes I would hear it with me. Now it's really like ridiculous. The young era, just how people speak to each other. Um, but the fact that the woman has taken on that nature to the extreme, because we have the power of that life and death, all of us, male and female. But the woman has that extra because she can give it physically and she can give it verbally. We all have it mentally. But I would see women castrating where they thought that they were correcting, chastening, as we call it. They were castrating one's spirit. So that could be on their children or their husbands or people around them. Um, the source of that, of course, started with their self, because what was said to them and that they kept repeating in their own mind, that they felt like, no, now I need to say that outwardly, like literally casting disease. That was, it's happened in my family. Oh, no, 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 no. You know what? Everybody in the family done had it, so you gonna have it too. Wow, really? Why can't we change that narrative? It's one thing to be practical in a sense, but there's another thing to walk by that sense of power of changing narrative. Um, just certain conversations that I would hear a mother say to her son, or say, "Don't you go and be like that." But you know what? Your blip and blip is you gonna be like that because I just know it. This is this is you actually speaking that thing over that person continuously. In a relationship, you often hear women say that, oh, well, you're cheating, you're cheating. You're calling those things forth, and the person has no idea or wants to even cheat. But it's that power or that, and the thing is, the power comes from the belief of that thing. So if you literally are saying something, and you don't have to say it loud, you can say it low, you can say it within your mind, you can speak it out loud. But if you say it and you feel it, you contain that in your heart, you know that you spoke that over a person. I made it crystal clear, just like you said. When those babies came out the womb, I was like, I surrender her. I give them back. How they came, I give them back. Let me be led by the. And I've had women when I was walking or with the children, be like, how dare you? How are you? And I'm just like, excuse me, first of all, these are my children. How are you coming and speaking to me this way? No, you don't speak to children like that. They don't understand you. I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Yours may not understand you, but mine will understand me, because it's my voice and my womb that which they came from. And the depth of that is you still have, even for myself, I had to walk through a process of healing my own traumas to be able to stand in the fullness of being a mother, not just physically, but spiritually. But I spoke to the children too, like they're a person. This is still a person. This is a person that is going to have to walk by themselves. They came out by themselves. I mean, they were twins, but they still came out one after the other.
Right.
So they're going to have that walk for themselves. That power of you speaking over, and it's the simplest thing. Sometimes we joke a lot about something. Oh, you just stupid. You just stupid. When does that, it's a joke, but you also got to be able to switch that paradigm, because you're speaking that, and it's a continue. Oh, well, that person, you never know when that person's going to change the nod and go, oh yeah, well, that person always said I was stupid. So, oh, my mama always said that I was, going to be this. So I'm going to be this, this particular thing. And people will speak disease over you. Your own family will speak disease over you. That's a lack of money. That's a lack of thought process. That's mediocrity. That's disease, a physical disease. So the wound from the mouth is just as powerful as the wound from the body. And all of that starts here within the mind. So who's in your ear,
That's facts. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's facts. That's powerful too, because that I didn't even go into that part first, because I was gonna double back around when we got into the spiritual bath aspects, but it really is all connected, See it, speak it, believe it, see it, speak it, achieve it, see it, speak it, believe it, see it, speak it, achieve it. Like all those things are real. So when the see it part is visualization, whether you're doing a vision board, whether you're doing meditation, whether you're doing water gazing. I mean, there's so many different ways, tools, avenues, looking at candles. Yeah. All that. I got my balls over here. I got those for Reiki. Like, I forgot they call them.
Yes.
But balls that you just look at. They're like mirror balls, whatever you call them. But yeah, all those are different portals. All of them, for us to be able to create, to be the creator that the creator created us to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
So even for artists who write poetry or spoken word or, paint, or a designer like you, I'm pretty sure, visualize whatever your outline, whatever your inspiration, your muse, whatever it is. I'm sure you have an internal, visualization of that in some shape, form, or fashion that you're able to manifest and bring forth to light. You bring it from out of the darkness into the light, right? So from the spiritual to the physical. Is that not the same?
But then in that process, because you're absolutely right, but in that process is usually where most people lose off, or they fall off, because in that process, it's not vainglorious. You know what I mean? It's not like, woohoo, yeah, this is, no, baby, you're going to go through some stuff. Because you're actually catching up with yourself. So we come out of, okay, we're in a wound. Whatever is going on in the wound is just development. It's absorbing whatever is going on external. Another reason why I say let source work in us, through us, around us, to us, and by us, because we actually, that's how we come, and that's how we're in the womb. everything that's going on around us and whatever comes into us. So whatever the mother acquires, whatever she eats, whatever she's hearing, whatever mood she's in, that is sitting on that fetus, that's sitting in that baby, that womb. And then when that child comes out, that's which the child is going to carry, and it's going to play out based on now the child walking out its own perfection, because it's called to something. So what is it called to? And as a mother, have you placed roadblocks on that child, your seed, before it even had time to move and to grow and develop? And that's also based on that woman being able to look at herself, know who she is, like, who am I? And even if you don't know all of who you are at that particular time, it is about you taking those bold steps to keep going, because people fall off. Certain people will say and speak a certain thing, this is what they want, but then once it appears, they don't even identify it because they can't see it clear. The wound from here is a very powerful thing, very powerful. We say it every day, we talk every day, like literally. Now that's something that's coming out. So you imagine what's going on in the mental mind. That's the conscious mind. We can even take it there. That's the conscious mind. The subconscious mind is this thing that's quiet, that atypically you just move on automatic pilot. The subconscious mind absorbs. So let's go back to the womb. The child is absorbing that which is surrounded by, what it's being given. So I used to play, jazz and classical for something that is beyond the current state that would give and lean to an application to help my children. And that doesn't change once now they're physical. Now, as you said before, we have a lot of spiritual children. What are you saying to them? And you can only say certain things to those children based on, and it aligning with truth, based on you going through it and coming out on the other side. So we birth all the time, but mostly we're doing it from a lackadaisical, because we're used to talking. So you're not even thinking, you're just like, girl, I wish he would. Okay, keep saying, I wish he would. Like,
right. Yeah.
You need to really check how you use in words and context from this verbal wound.
Yeah.
Which is powerful, quite powerful.
Yeah, because those sometimes wishes come true. I mean, perfect point. And I remember I got I've done it so many times. Like, and I've had other guests on here too, where we spoke about the power of the tongue. Like, for example, me living in the Sunshine State, where we get some very powerful storms. There was times as a truck driver where I would have deliveries to make back when I was, driving trucks, and I would be caught in the storm. Like, man, I'm not going out here in all this rain, all this foolishness. So I would literally speak like, rain, stop, but in my own kind of way, with a certain tone that I would speak.
Exactly.
And I promise within minutes, it would sometimes like almost instantly the rain would. I'm talking about like hard storms. Like, I've done it recently. I think last year I did it one time on a road trip where it was the first time I ever did it in front of someone else, but to have a witness to see it happen. But it's a real thing. So if you have that intention and you're commanding, you know what I'm saying, to create as thou will, like whatever if you say what you say and you abracadabra, you know what I mean? But if you mean it, you can manifest it. And I think a lot of us don't. Well, I'm gonna say a lot. Some people probably don't believe how real that is or that's possible, but I know and I'm sure there's many other people who have done things of that nature. So how can we start, I guess, to program or cultivate or nourish the womb that is the mind, the garden of the mind? Like, how can we toil that sand, or water that fertilize that that source of of like, metaphorically speaking, sand, you know what I'm saying, the mind. Like, how do we get that soil to be fertile in order to kind of generate or create those positive thoughts and affirmations or manifestations, etc.?
I know it may sound a bit repetitive based on certain topics that we say, but you have to start with yourself. But the biggest thing is you got to know who you are. So how do you find out who you are? You assess thyself. If you can critique everybody else, you need to start critiquing the self. So with critiquing the self, that's your thoughts, your minds, and your actions. So pay attention to that. Now, of course, there's many different things that we can do on a physical plane that will constantly bring this back to you, so to keep you aligned and in balance. When it comes to, if I have to use my own walk, I had to get to a point where I was willing to face myself, and even in the darkest areas or moments. There was a movie too that's out that's really good about that whole aspect of shadow work, and before people even or realize what shadow work is, we're taught about our shadow. As a little kid, it's like you could see you showing the shadow on the ground, and people will either embrace the shadow and give you a loving aspect of what that shadow is that follows you with the sun. Look at that, look at the shadow, blah blah blah. Or they'll give you the negative connotation to it, and we've seen that in the world, whether it be through visual movies and things of this sort. Us being able to look at the self first, look at that shadow. Think about when you were a kid and you first saw your shadow. Were you afraid of it? Because oftentimes most of us are afraid of our shadow. But we don't think we're afraid of our shadow because, we see the shadow now, we're mature, we see the shadow that is being reflected by the sun, and we can just walk on and it's not doing anything. But we're carrying our shadow self, the subconscious mind, everything that you have been telling yourself or you've allowed yourself to take on, to hold as a burden. The depth, men will carry it on the shoulders and the women will carry it in the womb. Both will occupy it in the mind. So how are you moving in that? It is being able to look at those particular areas and water that which is good. So look at yourself as a garden, because you are earth. You are physically earth. You are water, and you have blood flowing through the veins. But the depth of it is you are also spirit that is contained in this earthly casing. So you need to be able to look at your thoughts and your minds. Like, really, I give these little I call them homework assignments, but they're day-to-day life assignments. Listen, go home and write down everything that you think of about yourself. When I would, I have this, I do the as I mentioned in the previous call, that I would invite 30 women over and I would hand feed them. I would do all this. We do games, this sort of thing. The biggest thing I did is I give a list of questions. Yeah. And I just saw all these women that are prominent in certain ways, different walks of life, money, no money, black, white, Asian. They looked at these questions like, has she lost her mind? Who she asked it? All this? What is this? And I'm like, wait a minute. These are the same women that will tell you the sale that's happened in the Macy's, who did what on the
Nordstrom
street.
and I forgot all the other high end name doggone store. I can't remember all,
All
but
of
yeah.
it. They will tell you everything about fashion, everything about food, everything
Louis
about somebody
Vuitton.
else's life. Wait a minute. Now let me ask you about yourself. Here. Let's go ahead and flip through
Yeah.
these pages
Yeah.
and answer questions about yourself. And that most people find that very hard to do. And the women that I saw, they were just like, are you serious? Like, because you grow up, and yes, certain things, life's challenges, people that are around you may smother that particular side of you that is carefree, liberated in many aspects when you're growing up. So you start to, squash that. But that is the thing that you must do. You must first start asking questions of yourself, and hard questions, not the bullshit questions,
Yeah.
the hard ones.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would say that's a good starting point. Start there. Start asking yourself the questions and then write the answers down. Write them down. You know how most people try to squirm, even as ourselves, you kind of squirm around your answer. No,
Yeah.
you have to actually say what that is to be able to get a different result. You can't keep doing the same thing. So start first with being able to ask yourself a hone in question about you.
Yeah.
About you. And if you don't know, here's a little catch how you get it too. If you don't know what it is to ask about yourself, you have to ask, what do people say about me? Now, this goes to double fault, because most people say, why would you give a damn about what people say to you? You need to listen, period. Remember, I said, I see. I learned to see, but with my ears, because natural eyes will fool you. You're seeing with your ears, you're in tune. You're gonna be sensitive to the things that you can't see in the physical realm. You're gonna see things by hearing. And in that particular process, I would watch people go through these stages of, okay, I am, okay, let's just say I'm sexy, you know. There's, oh, okay, well, I'm sexy. And then in the next 5 minutes or so, they like, okay, no, does this look right? That the building, the tearing down and the building up of the self, but us being able to move in that process of creating with your mouth, and then taking hindsight of what you think of yourself, questioning deeply, you also get to hear from the people around you of how they perceive you. Now, this is how you take what you're hearing and you filter it. What people usually do, there's something you will listen for that is always consistent no matter who they are. So these people can be people in your family, on their job, coworkers, all this. What is consistent that people say about you? What is consistent? It can be good, bad, but now you have to take that and ask yourself the question, are you that which they say you are? The opposite side of that, when you speak about yourself, are you that which you say you are? Now, here comes the correction for yourself. Here comes the area where you own your own bullshit. Here comes the area of you actually working with your shadow self. Here comes the area that now everything that you plant within the mind, you hold within the heart, you're able to speak with authority out of your mouth and held down by your subconscious in correction. Like total garden. You're going to have such a harvest, and everything that you move is with intention and details based on your desired fulfillment, not likes and wants, because likes and wants change. It's almost like saying happy. You know, I would hear people say, oh, I'm so happy, I'm happy. And the next minute, well, I'm sad. And I was, well, how do you do that? You mean, how do you always seem so at peace? Because I chose joy. I chose joy. Happiness fades, it comes and goes. And then based on the mood, if your emotional intelligence and how you move, you're going to speak something that may either dampen that happiness or it's going to uplift that happiness. I chose joy. So joy is an endless, continuous type of emotion that will reside in my heart. But that's something that I had to put faith to, my mouth, my wound, and application to. Regardless of what I was going through, I had to find my way to pull myself up to find that spot again that was called joy. Happiness is flimsy to me. That's tossed to and fro. I want that emotional balance. And I believe that's how we start to really hone in for ourselves, because we are our own billboard. We are our own creator. We're co-creating with source around us, but we are our own creator. We walk into a situation, and yes, we've all had those life challenges, and some more severe than others, keeping it 100. But you have to be the one that walks through that. Nobody else can do that but you. So think of yourself as a garden. You know, I say that to women. That's one of the biggest things. But as I had mentioned before, my fashion collections were all based on a garden. So we had tulips, we had the black rose, we had the hibiscus, and each one of these collections was about the woman tending to her garden and the colors that reflected that. So it's one of those things that she has to know that she is worthy. Now, how does she do that? She first has to service herself. She has to be her own mama. She has to be her own gardener, really being willing to till the ground, pull up those roots, cut off those cords that don't service the garden.
Yeah.
I know I explained that, but it's like really that they go together. You can't, most people like to separate stuff. They go together. Yeah. Really and truly, they go together.
No, they do. And I'm going to take it back to E5, because that's where, I've had conversations with people where, E5 is so vast that it's in everything, and it's about what your I would say like your immersion into it is, or what your knowledge
Okay.
base, or your prior knowledge base, or whatever, wherever you are in your journey. And it's not even just limited to E5 practitioners or people who are in it, but just for the sake of communication and like
Yes,
sharing
yes, yes.
stories and how it all ties into one another. We can go back to Ogun, right? So Ogun he's the relentless warrior.
Exactly.
He's the stone, like he's the stonemason, like he's, what I'm saying, he's the wielder of metals, like, you know what I mean, he
Yes,
of
yes, yes.
technology, of but more so than that, those who have reached that phase in their journey in this process or this system of E5, when you receive the warriors, you receive your cauldron, your black pot that is attributed, as your Ogun shrine. And when it's consecrated, there are elements that are within that consecrated pot or cauldron, that is the shrine
Mhm,
of Ogun. Within there,
mhm,
you have tools that are used to cut the cords. You might have a machete, you might have a hoe, you might have a shovel, you
mhm.
might have a ice pick. Like all these different tools are tools of Ogun that we use spiritually and metaphorically to do whatever it is we need to do with that garden, whatever it is, whatever cords we need to cut away from,
I'm sure.
liability behavior,
Yes,
or,
yes,
self doubts or self
yes,
limited belief, all these
yes.
different things. That is the power of Ogun, the
I
transformation
see.
aspects, the tools that in which he's equipped us with in order to use to cut away those cords or all those things that are holding us back, in order for us to start to process the transformation through crystallization and manifestation. So it's all part of us doing the work as children of the creator who have been blessed with the tools that were created by the creator for us to use, for us to co-create.
There you go. Earlier, I was doing my cards too, and I got Abba. Look at that. Can you see that?
They're like, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not sure what that. How do I? Because I'm not really
There
familiar
you
with.
go. See, can you see what it say at the bottom?
That's Oba. I was close. I was.
Yes, I was doing my cards earlier, my Orisha cards, and I was just like, okay, Spirit, what's really, what's popping, what's happening right now? And yes, popped right on out along with water. And I was like, okay, this is how we rolling. Okay, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good. I
Great
love the
restorative.
question. There was a young lady, I think it was Goddess something Lotus. Hello,
Uh,
Lotus. There you go. You know
yeah.
how to do the mudra for yourself, right?
Let me see.
She said, well, I
Is it
don't
this
think it
one?
was a question, it was a statement.
Is it this one right
Yes,
here? Okay.
love. Yes, most definitely. I just wanted to say because I saw that, and here's your mudra, baby. Use that mudra. All right, the lotus mudra. Go ahead and use that for yourself. Most definitely. And if you're having dreams, beloved, you need to go ahead and write them down because you're right. It absolutely will help you. And in the dream state, when you write down, it doesn't matter how it may appear. But remember, a lot of times dreams are often the subconscious giving you certain signs. So it'll come through something else. But writing it down, staying consistent with it no matter what, and then just taking your day where you sit with let's just say the last 7 days, and you sit with those particular areas of the dream and allow the interpretation. Now, of course, if you don't know how to do all that, that's something we can talk about some other time. But you sit with what is present in front of you. And once you get used to doing it and understanding the interpretation, it will open a portal for you where you'll be able to help. It'll help you with your foresight and navigation of what is being spoken to you in your dreams. Like, it's a really good one. So stay with your journaling. So I had to say that because I saw her make mention to it, and it's facts. It's
Oh yeah.
absolutely facts. I have
Yeah.
tons of journals, and they all are separated for certain things. It
Mm.
is something that is a must, especially when we're talking about the dream state,
Yeah.
because you're getting told certain things about yourself. You're getting told by who?
Yep.
Yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yourself is telling you this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something that's really powerful. And you can start to use that to channel and meditate with the eyes open, not just with your eyes closed, but you can
Mm-hmm.
use that now in a meditation for your eyes to be open. Another way for you to cover your energy field.
Mm.
Another way for you to be able to use that aura that you have in you, understanding your chakras and move through that. There's a lot of there's a lot of sacred tools that we have that we don't realize that we have that will
Yes.
help your centering of yourself.
Yeah.
So of course we speak about Ifa, and we can speak about any type of religion you want, but the
Hmm.
depth is, what are you doing with the tools that you're getting from these particular areas that help you manifest and walk in your divine purpose? That
Hmm.
I have a little video about sacred tools, and the
Mm.
fact that people don't realize that sacred tools hold a energy too and a vibration, because it's
Hmm.
based on collective consciousness and then what you put into that tool. So we
Hmm.
have an altar, physical things, and we have a physical altar that we're walking around in. So
Hmm.
I love that she said that. Most definitely,
Yeah.
beloved, keep walking in that, and that's going to help your sight line. And then you'll be able to birth from your mouth as well, because your sight line is improved. From here, you can birth and rule here. It'll help
Mm.
navigate. It'll help you. It really will. That's a good one. It's good.
Yeah.
Often. Love
Yeah.
it.
And I think, and this is something I'm gonna share, and this is from my personal own, journey, and it's something that a lot of people won't know outside because it's something that happened internally. But I have shared it with. Matter of fact, I think one of the people is on the in the stream right now that I shared it with. But I personally did that recently. I want to say maybe March or April, maybe around March or April. I can't remember, but the channel. I think we might have had maybe 5, 6, 7,000 subscribers. I can't remember what it was, but whatever
Mhm.
it was a few months ago, and I was like, you know what? My goal, I want to see that I'm gonna figure out a way to get to 10K by June, right? And I
Mhm.
meant it, and it wasn't a pipe dream. It was like, yeah, it seemed like a tall task, but I'm like, if I could see it, I know I could believe it, and I can achieve it. You know what I'm saying? And I could work to put the energy, the effort together to see what's going to happen. And I'll be
Right.
damn man if we didn't hit that thing like in like the third or fourth week in
Awesome.
May, and I'm like, yo, this is dope. But for me, it was like it's not the first time I've done it. I've done it like with the
Exactly.
first house that I bought, like in '07, I think. I used I'm sure you would know, but it's like the one-liner, sales page that they give you. The realtor would give you to kind of look at the specs of
Yes.
of the house or whatever. But I literally took that
Yes.
one pager and I would look at it every single day before I went to work. Like, yo, this is my house. This is my house. This is my house. And I would look
Yes.
at it when I came home from work before I went to sleep. This is my house. This is my house. Like, I would just, and at the time, I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't know about the law of attraction and affirmations and all that.
Mhm.
I really, really wanted it. And I really, really believe that if I believe that I'm gonna have it, and I believe I can have it, I believe I deserve to have it, I'm gonna have it. I really believe that of it. And even being so young, I think I was like 27, but it was like I didn't know if I had enough money saved up. I didn't know if I had enough credit
Mm.
score. I didn't know none of that, but I knew I wanted that damn house. And I knew
Yes.
I would look at it every day saying, this is my house. And I'll be damned if like whenever they took the other offers, my offer got accepted. And it happened. So that was when I really think that for the first time in my life, I realized, yo, this is real. Whatever this thing is, like this is
Mhm.
real, And so from then on, I kind of been trying to use it for whatever I can, to try to make things happen.
No, this is Ashe, beloved. We have to, as the awakening of the divine feminine is that particular layer, her being able to take that which is her own,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and that when we're talking about her own, the thing that she can literally walk around with, which is her temple, and being able to use it in a more effective way.
Mm-hmm.
The body, as we always discuss or we hear, the body's extremely intelligent, and it's us that have to learn how the body actually knows these different things. We have to align with the body because it knows how to actually do and take care of itself. We're the ones that have to learn. So the awakening of what we've discussed several times of the divine feminine is her awakening to herself, catching up with herself. And what is that? And the shadow work of that is sometimes that shadow work is hard to catch up with yourself because you don't want to face the things that you've allowed yourself to take, part in.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that is her reestablishing herself so she can birth herself again, be born again. So being born again is not just put in a box of context that we say, oh, this will happen and this will happen. You literally are born again every day you wake up, every time you lay down and wake up. Okay. Which that's based on your belief and perspective, honey. You awake when you're slumbering.
Yeah.
depending on
Yeah.
how tapped in
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a woman awakening to herself and being able to call it how she sees it and standing on that no matter what the wave and tide, because you will be challenged in that. Standing in
Mm-hmm.
your authority is not it's not a boastful state, as we had made mention to the ego. It is
Mm-hmm.
not a boastful state. It's there to protect and serve, but in that you do have to take a stand and be resilient in it. Oftentimes to where people around you don't think is cute, where you be
Yeah.
like, oh, who do you think you are?
Mm-hmm.
So awaken to her is you awakening to yourself and truly trusting yourself no matter what you're going through. It
Mm.
is powerful using the tools. And as you said, the vision board, powerful. I
Mm-hmm.
used to teach that to the models after
Mm.
leaving New York City. I used to teach this to all these different models. Oh, okay, we're going to hair, makeup, blah, blah, blah. And then I started to write curriculums because I was
Mm.
like, you know what? Wait a minute. These women are dealing with self-doubt,
Yep.
envy, jealousy,
Mm-hmm.
a lack of understanding of what they're going through, why they're having these feelings. How do I know those things? Because I did that too. I did that too. I
Yeah.
was just bold enough to get on a plane and go somewhere else and rediscover, or this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But using the vision boards, powerful. I
Yep.
still use them. I
Mm-hmm.
still do them to this day. From coming from and you can live so high, or
Mm-hmm.
you can live very nicely, however, something that gives you peace. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be on the scale of somebody else, whatever that gives you that peace. And
Mm-hmm.
when that peace starts to get rattled, or you have a tower moment, as we would say in the the cards, the decks,
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
tower moment, things get wiped off the board, this sort of thing, you have to rebuild. How are you doing that? Now,
Yeah.
this is where the part of her other wound has to come in mind. Now
Mm.
it's not a physical thing. Now she got to do it from the mental and the verbal part.
Mm.
And in that part, she's awakening to herself continuously as she
Mm.
strives in that, using a vision board. Powerful, absolutely powerful,
Mm.
because it's going to challenge you to actually go beyond yourself. Okay, you can see the images and that sort of thing. So you're using the physical thing to help bring that internal thing that you have in you outwardly so you can manifest that thing.
Mm.
And yes, I've done it where I've literally seen the vision boards, everything on the vision board came true. Pow, pow,
Mm.
pow. Didn't know how
Yep.
you were going to do it, but you had to be willing to walk and have that faith in the self to move through that so you can
Mm.
get there and get to the other side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful
No, that's
vision.
real. Yeah.
Really, really powerful.
Yeah. I've been holding this one for a minute because I wanted to give it some runway because I would love to hear, what your opinion and your perspective on it is. But excuse me, shout out to excuse me, shout out to brother Nkosi with a dope question in regards to men, who want to honor and show, respect and empower, the feminine women in their families. Like, what would you say excuse me, would be your advice for men who have it in their heart that want to, honor and reverence and revere, the women, the feminine energies, the feminine
Ooh,
principles in their lives? What would be your perspective on brother Nkosi's question?
ooh. Well, ooh. Wow. Ashe, divine masculine, first and foremost. We speak that hedge of continued clarity, divine inner and understanding and wisdom on your life as you walk through your life journey, purpose and path, and that all the women that are bestowed upon you, around you, in front of you, will see the glory and the light that resonates in you and operates through you on their behalf as well as your own. Um, that's a beautiful that's a beautiful question. First and foremost, I would say he would need to continue to give reverence to himself, own and know his value. That's the big thing, especially in this day and time. They're trying to feminize all of the masculine men. My goodness gracious.
Hmm.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness gracious.
yeah.
Um,
We ain't having that though. But yeah, whatever.
um, so definitely first valuing the self,
Mm.
giving to the self first. Continue doing that, because with that foundation, anything that you say and the way that you lead any woman in her divine balance is going to follow. All right.
Mm.
So you edifying yourself first thing. I would speak life. And again, you have a womb. That tongue, the power of the tongue. You know how women, oh, the R&B singers, we love the R&B singers. We love men that can actually speak. You know, why are we liking that? Why? Because he got that tongue. He know how to speak. So he know how to soothe that feminine. You know how to move her water. Let's go there. You know how to move her water. So you, as that divine masculine, owning your totality, knowing that you are that provider, that protector, that also birther, that coverer. And so most people only look at men as being that protector or provider. You're that covering. So you can also speak over by being the example and saying, this is what I see for the woman. But that's you sitting in the energy of the woman. That's the biggest thing I believe that men and women need to do. But we're speaking about what a man can do on behalf of the woman is sitting in the energy of the woman, because you're sure in yourself. That helps also bring balance to your divine feminine that resonates in you. For you to even have a question like that says that you're in a balancing and you reverence women in high regard. Now, you looking at why you reverence these women, women in high regard, and speaking that over women. And when I say speaking it, you take that into your quiet space, because oftentimes you can see what you need to, what a woman needs, and she doesn't see it for herself, so she'll fight you. So she'd rather have that weed sticking up in the garden where you're coming in trying to snatch the weed up, digging it up, this sort of thing. So in your application of being that farmer, tilling the land, which I believe this is what they should have been saying, or the interpretation in the Bible would have been for a man too, is tilling the land, is that garden, that feminine quality that will help you expand everything that you are going through. So watering her, not just with, okay, women love gifts, but let's really, the woman that is in a balance, the woman that is striving to do something, go somewhere, be more than what she came from even, she's going to resonate so highly with the man that actually sits with her energy. So that means he already knows that what she needs and how to deliver it to her. Okay, if I give it to her like this, she can be, or no, I need to give it to her like that. Laying it out in different ways, not just giving her a gift of something that is what we call just a tangible thing. Give her that gift first from a point of your authority, speaking that over her in a quiet and subtle way. Just being your presence, the alone being there will give that resonation for that. Because a woman, I don't care who she is, she gonna just be, she gonna fall in line. The whole thing where people say, okay, I need that submissive woman. Hey, you standing in your masculine on your authority and reverencing her for who she is in a quiet space, but also nurturing it as she goes and moves through, she's going to fall in line. It's going, and when I say in line, not like she's coming behind you, she's going to just be in order, a balance. It's going to be a complete balance. You can see where the woman is hurt. So why can't you speak over where that woman needs that whole field? You are problem solvers. How do you solve the problem without using your hands? Because you can get the tools, do all that. Use the words, edify her in quiet. Take that time where those areas of your life where, okay, candles, you know how she like candles, you know how all this, baby, do that on behalf of her. Do that on behalf of her. I promise you. And keep certain things quiet. Don't tell all the moves. Just kind of, I'm going to just leave that there for her to rest. I believe a man sitting in his energy first, firmly, speaking from authority, not in a harsh way, not in the, just elegantly put, no fuss, no fear. Certain things, say nada. Apply the application. Because women can hear soothsayers all day long. They can hear that all day long. Application and stance, done. absolutely done. Then you add all the things that she likes and da da da. Da. Because the things that she likes, these are material things. She needs something to hold her down, and holding her down is seeing that that man is firm and on a foundation of solid authority within himself. She can go like that. Just, okay, 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 I'm here. It's a long way of answering the question, but it's straight up just you stand in your authority.
Nah,
You
it was my bad. It was I didn't even interrupt. It was a phenomenal answer. Listen, because all that did was trigger a bunch of more questions from me. But so look, and I ain't the only one because now the tribe diving in too. Shout out to you, brother Yusuf Muhammad. So I wasn't the only one sitting here.
this is getting deep. Yeah.
And Kosi definitely got it too. My boy, I'll bring his up next. But so yeah, I wasn't the only
But
one
it's
sitting
true.
here swimming in all that wisdom. So yeah, we was definitely. I was out there surfing. I get my name, Kawabunga on.
Aloha.
Man, I'll get
Aloha.
my Aloha Kawabunga on, man. I'm out here riding the waves, riding the waves, boy. I'm surfing Ashe streets. I'm surfing. If they surfing USA, I'm surfing on Ashe. That's what I'm surfing on.
No, but it's so real. It is
Yes,
so real because you
yeah,
get. I speak from experience, but my personal experience, but also from women that I've dealt with. Okay, I'm
yeah.
52. I've been doing this for 20 years,
Mm,
and even though my frontal face would say, people would be like, "Oh, you're a model," yeah, but I was doing that other stuff too.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
This stuff
yeah,
daily. Oh,
yeah,
you're a designer. Yeah, yeah. But no, the real stuff is happening in the behind closed doors.
yeah, yeah,
In my own personal life, dealing with men of different status, far as financially and baby, you can have the men with a whole bunch of money, but that don't mean nothing. They don't have they don't have a firm foundation within themselves.
mm-mm.
Oh no. Oh no,
Mm-mm.
no, 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 no.
Yeah,
That's not holding either one of us down. No,
yes,
sorry. A man
yes,
can have no money and
yeah,
still have authority within himself.
mm-hmm.
Oh, honey, him connecting with the right divine feminine, they gonna have money like that. The money
Yeah,
ain't even gonna get, they
yeah,
gonna bounce off each other like nobody's business. Like,
yeah,
okay. But they
yeah,
have to be willing to do that. And they
mm,
have to know somewhat of themselves first,
mm-hmm.
and be
Yeah,
willing to tell, about the other bullshit that they
yeah.
done dealt with or dealing with.
Listen, you strumming like a dog on a violin or a cello, man. Because it's like strumming like Lauryn Hill, strumming my like she just like you're killing them softly out here. You're killing them softly. Like
Come
for real.
on with the
Yeah,
songs.
killing them softly. That's what we're doing. We're killing them softly. So I'm glad you said that because I'm gonna leave him nameless for now. I'm not sure how we're gonna roll in the future, but I had the opportunity to chop it up with one of my mentors today. And this brother, I love him, man, because he is a different individual to say the least. But he has reached the highest ranks of the business world personally that I know of. As far as people I know personally, and he's done numbers. I mean, numbers, but he's always stayed grounded, stayed humble, and stayed true to himself. And we had a good call today for almost an hour. And I remember
Wow.
every time I talk to him, he asked questions that I don't really have a solid answer, but his mind
Oh,
it works differently. You know what I'm saying? He has a different mind, so he's gonna look at you
okay.
and come at you from angles like a Army Ranger because he actually is a former Ranger. But but I say all that to say he's got a very different cerebral, makeup about himself. Right, you got to be different to be a ranger. But he asked me something today. He's like, okay, so now what are you going to do 2 years from now when you've reached the goals that
Exactly.
you have set, with revenue and net worth and all these different things, whatever the case may be. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about what life looks like once you've accomplished
Thank
these
you.
milestones and these goals and what you have not like have you? Because he's like, because what I see is it's going to happen a lot faster than you think. So are
Yep.
you prepared for that when that comes? Because a lot of people say they want success. A lot of people are
Thank
driven and
you.
focused to get that. But when they get to what they consider to be their pinnacle, the top of their mountain, what
Yep.
now? What
Yep.
next? What are
Yep.
you going to do then? I need to
Yep.
know
Yep.
because if I'm going to be, talking to you, having these conversations, these are things you got to be prepared for. And then what are you going to do? Because what really matters now? What is this? What are you really doing this for?
Yes.
Because there's going to
Say
come
it.
a point in time where money's not an issue.
Say
Now
it.
what do you do? So I say that
Say
to
it.
say with you working with people in that, in that space and in that, particular tax bracket or whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact, knowing him and a few other people who have reached those circles and realms, as far as financial success, but
Mm-hmm.
that does not deteriorate what we're talking about, which is the core work, the shadow work, that
Most
because I
definitely.
can wholeheartedly speak to people who I've coached and consulted with who can be the most beautiful people in the world, but they don't see it. They can have the most talent in a certain specific field or niche or skill set, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
see it. I see
Mm-hmm.
it. I'm like, yo, how can you not? But you
Mm-hmm.
can't see the
Mm-hmm.
picture of you in the frame.
Yes,
So
yes, yes, yes,
there are
yes.
people who have gifts beyond some people's imagination or are blessed with, tangible or material items or whatever the case may be, but they're still broken on the inside.
Oh,
They're
big
still
time. Big time.
dealing with trauma. They're still, not, I hate to say it, but look at how many celebrities have taken their own lives
Yes.
to the
Yep.
pressure. You know what I mean? So now we got to look at money ain't everything.
No,
So
no, 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 no. Uh-huh.
what
It's
really
a
matters?
tool. It's a tool. It's a tool. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Definitely. It's a tool.
How do
Faded
you?
in Go on. I'm sorry.
No, I mean interrupt you. I was gonna say, how do we peel back the layers to begin the healing process or journey for those people who I kind of look at it like people who may have alcohol problems, right? They
Mm,
say the first step is to addiction is admitting that you have a challenge or you're dealing with struggling with the
right.
challenge of the
Okay.
addiction. So for people who may be dealing with so much trauma that they can't see their own internal value or they can't see the diamond behind the coal of
Mm,
trauma, where
mm.
do you start the process for those types of individuals in regards to the healing, and chipping away
Oh, I start with breath work.
that?
People that I deal with that, I start with breath work. It's another way of actual way of you taking time to start with self. I start
Mm,
with breath work. How you breathing?
mm,
The biggest thing. When you ask someone a question, and based on the question that you ask, their heart is either going to be extra fast or it's going to continue to be normal, that sort of thing. So
mm,
when a person starts to ask themselves certain questions, usually they avoid certain questions because it creates a anxiety within themselves. So first I start with breath work, just to sit quiet within the self. Oftentimes when I have dealt with individuals, having them sit quiet with themselves, they start to cry. They emotionally break down because they haven't given themselves that opportunity to sit with themselves first, to even allow themselves that time and space to forgive themselves for whatever it is, And oftentimes people that have gone through trauma are in a state of not forgiving themselves, but it's been blanketed by the action of someone else, what happened to them. So allowing them to sit with themselves and just breathe for a minute, and then close the eyes and sit there and breathe for a minute. And you can do prana work, so taking that nostril, inhale for 4, turn it over to the pinky to the other side, exhale, hold, internal, external, internal. So 4 by 4 by 4. Allow that person to just sit in that space first. Just sit in that space and know that they're loved. They can trust themselves more than anything, more than trust me. They can trust themselves to help themselves move through this process. I'm just an aid. You would just be an aid. Anybody is just an aid to someone's liberation. But they have to pick up that walk for themselves. So first and foremost, sit with themselves, breathe, take time so they can forgive themselves. Then we move through the actual trauma that they've dealt with. And we go based on the person. For me, I always say I like to dress people up from the inside out. So with the fashions and things like that, I would speak over them. But when I talk about fashion for the body, so beyond the body, I'm talking about your heart and your mind. So it's customized based on the person, the individual, the soul that I'm sitting in front of, and how they need to move. because some people may need it a little tougher, and
Yeah.
other people, this sort of. But with that, always, always, well, give it to me first, baby. Let me just go ahead and bring you down. Let's take it down. Slow your
Mm.
breath. Center yourself. Focus right here. Let's tap into the lifeline, because we can talk about a lot of things that we can do and use as tools. The biggest tool is our breath.
Mm.
Take time and use your breath.
Yeah.
Slow yourself down. So I would say start there first. Get in some meditation, do some breath work first. Start
Mm.
there so you can start to control that heartbeat. When you start to think about something that was traumatic or something that gives you, anxiety, you'll be able to control that breath. People give people bags when they're, hyperventilating, so they can
Right.
bring that air back into themselves. So start there. Start there.
Mm. I
Mhm.
say. Nah, I love that.
Yeah.
Love
Start with
that.
that.
Now,
It's powerful.
it is, and I love how in depth you went with that answer too. So, and I know this is one that I've gotten with people a lot in regards to meditation, right? So some people struggle with meditation because just as something as simple as quieting the mind, like getting the mind. I think they call it monkey mind or scattered
Mhm,
brain,
mhm,
whatever they want
mhm,
to call it.
mhm,
But a lot of people really deal with the challenge of just getting the mind to like unplug and just to be quiet. So are there any specific, I would say maybe like almost like doorways or entrance ways into meditation in
mhm,
regards to like a system of breath work that you can kind of
mhm,
recommend for beginning meditators or those who've been meditating, seasoned meditators, but they still have challenges with either their breath
mhm.
work in meditation or getting their mind to quiet down in order for them to kind of dive deep into, or I should say,
Yes.
get deep into that meditative state.
Right. With meditation, again, meditation is kind of what I also say yoga is.
That's right.
Any particular practice, it
Mhm.
is you based. It's you based. So when I start with people with meditation, even for thyself, and it changes based on the variations or the things that I am dealing with,
Mm.
or a person is dealing with.
Mm.
First and foremost, being able to find that space wherever it is. Some people like to sit out, out in nature, which is very good. It's very keen, but some people are not at that particular step. Just being able to sit still even bothers people. So, what do you use? What's the sacred tool that person would use? Some people will use Hertz music. So, using a Hertz, 432, sitting and just allowing something that doesn't have words attached to it, because that's also casting a spell. So we love music and we can love music, but sometimes playing music that has words attached to it is throwing your water, it's feeding the water, the memory code here, and you're trying to allow the water to sit still, which is your emotion and intelligence. So using some hurt music, going out in nature, taking your time to um, look at the self first. Why are you there? So being present with the self. Why are you in this state right now that you feel you need to meditate? So asking yourself the question, because you will give yourself the answer, and trusting that you will get the answer. I had to learn that big time over and over again. The more I expand, because that's the other thing, you made a valid point, meaning people with the success, they want success, but when they get there, that's very true. Some people, before they even get success, you may want it, but you're scared of it, because then once you get it, there's a whole nother layer that you have to deal with. So you being able to find your center, I call it finding your center, finding that soul self, is you actually paying attention to your breath. And whatever, and in any situation. So some people like outside, some people like a quiet space in their room. These are things that you have to learn to create for yourself. So if there's no room, or there's no park, you got to be able to create that wherever you go, taking things. And this is where sacred pieces come into a line for you. And that sacred piece could be something that you cherish because you had it since you were a kid, or because you know the meaning behind this. This is us allowing us ourselves to be sensitive enough to be in that space. Uh, and then you have to identify what is sensitivity for you. Everything starts within the body. So you're at a certain place where you say, I want to meditate. Well, why do you want to meditate? be real with yourself, write that down. And oftentimes I tell people to, when you're in this mode of, gosh, I just want to be quiet, I want things to slow down, da, 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 you literally have to fight your way through yourself to sit down, to like actually tell yourself to go sit down somewhere. We can get so busy and caught up with in life that the Robert Kiyosaki, the rat race, people start to do that within their mind. And they do it in their mind to a point that they're just recycling the same thing they already went over and through and back again. Sometimes you have to let it go. How you learn how to do that is being able to sit in your own space, being quiet. It can be challenging based on the person and how willing they are to be in that space, because sometimes you can fidget, but you learn to use certain tools that will help you move through that. Your biggest one is you being able to sit still. Thoughts in your mind will come when you're meditation, especially when you're first starting. You're going to get it. You're absolutely going to get thoughts because you're used to moving. And one thing that is always moving, even when your body is still, is the mind. So you have to be able to allow that. So when people speak about monkey brain, I like to look at it from a point of allow the thoughts to come. It is up to you to stand on your square, be seated on your throne, and rule by your mind. So when that thought comes, you have to go, okay, not now. Compartmentalize. Okay, no, that's not what I'm doing right now. So as it comes, and the more you discipline yourself to sitting in that space of no, it's coming, eventually they're going to fall at the wayside because you now are focusing on the very thing you started with, which is your breath. Start with your breath, sit in that quiet space, allow the thoughts to come. And if they're overwhelming, the other thing is you have the journal, you write these things down. So it's almost you learn to, as I mentioned before, you learn to cast a spell over yourself, but you also learn to release things off of yourself. Just release them off. So here comes this thought. Okay, this is a thought repeating. Ask yourself a couple questions. As many times as this thought has come to me, has it given me an answer? As many times as this thought has come, has it made a solution? Is it something that's benefiting me? It's that type of thing has you work in a current conscious state that also helps you in a quiet shadow state. So breath first, find that spot, breath first, sit with the self. Then you want to go in, allow, close the eyes. If that is other women I've dealt with, I have them use a candle. Sitting with self, you still start sitting with self, with the breath, with the candle, focusing on the candle, focus on the breath, and you're counting for 4. So you can use your index finger, your pinky finger and your thumb. You go in, hold that nostril, inhale, align the body, sit in that perfect position. Allow yourself the time to be with you, Inhale for 4. So you're inhaling. Hold it, cross over. Hold it. For that 4, release it. Practice that first. Sit in that space first. Then you go deeper. And after you get to yourself where that heart is calm, you're in a certain place, you're going to be heightened naturally. You're going to hear beyond sight line. You're going to hear. So the thoughts, allow them and then compartmentalize. Is that servicing a purpose right now? That's not what I need right now. What I need to see clear first. So now when I bring those things that I've compartmentalized up to the forefront, I know that which is servicing me or servicing the situation that I need to use right now. Sometimes we try to pick up and carry everything all at one time. And Source is asking you to just sit down first and pick up your own line. You just sit. That's it. That's all. And I know that sounds very elegant to some people, flowing off my tongue. But no, the reason that it is because I've had to use it for myself in many difficult times
Yeah.
and seasons. So it's you just sitting with that, really sitting with that space. And it'll
Mm,
develop, it'll get better. It will get better. It really will.
I should. Yeah, no, I agree. I think for me, I think the internal self talk and dialogue that's been something that that's
Okay.
been huge for me,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I give all the credit to I feel like my connection, or I should say the Obatala
Over time.
Ashe energy of
Value.
Obatala, and who and what he is, being the deity of peace, of serenity, of patience, of
Okay. Okay.
creation and Ori, the controller, the molder of the minds of so it's like
Mm-hmm.
those are the things where I remember speaking to the youth about how, as a child, you don't have to necessarily, and I'm not minimizing those children who grew up without having fathers in the household, but I was sharing how you can still not have a prototype or, a particular
Mm-hmm.
energy present, but you can use another energy to kind of substitute that particular
Mm-hmm.
energy. And what I meant by that was like how I didn't have someone of the Malcolm X, prototype, or you know what I mean, like archetype or
Exactly.
whatever you want to call
Exactly.
it in my life. But I saw him on TV, and it didn't take
Mm-hmm.
long for me to see what resonated to me as what a man should be or could be if they
Mm-hmm.
spent time with self and spent time with developing that self talk and developing that connection with source and with the inner self and with the creator, right? So he was the pinnacle for me with growing up. So I didn't have to have a father figure like him, but I still was able to create a father figure for myself from him. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And from what
exactly.
he presented to the world, that's what I took and internalized and made my own.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And this is
Mm-hmm.
like my father figure. You know what I mean? Like, because this
Exactly.
is who I aspire to be like, or this is who motivates
Mm-hmm.
me, to kind of steer me into the direction of who and what I think uh the pinnacle of man is in my own personal little perspective. You know what I mean? So I feel like we all have the
Mm-hmm.
ability to do that, with not just,
True.
a Malcolm X type, but it could be somebody who could be a Buddhist, or you know what I mean? Like somebody who's a Zen master.
Take from whatever, from whomever. That, I mean, it's about you creating your own identity, you creating that in divine balance. So that's within the internal.
Mm,
So it's for you to do that. In day and age now, we are at the pinnacle of creating everything for external.
mm,
It's at the top, like,
yeah.
okay, we got to create everything for everybody else, but we're not
Yeah.
creating them for ourselves.
Hmm.
It's okay for you to create that space for yourself. And that's
Yeah.
sometimes that's why people don't meditate either. They're like,
Yeah.
what, huh?
Yeah.
I can do this if I do this with somebody else. And that, no, you need that time for yourself and that space. And it's going to help you move energy. That's the biggest thing I learned. It's gonna help you move energy,
Mm,
blockages, energy flow. And of course, these things are all been separated from self because we live in a very capitalist environment. So we'll
yeah.
have things, the titles like Reiki and massage and
Mm,
this and that. Everything's been separated, but all of that stuff is internally within the self.
yeah.
And it's us using small steps, even if you have to, so you can expand greater, but you have to be willing to face whatever comes with that. You know what I mean? The
Hmm.
power of the wound. So once the wound from the mouth, verbal wound, once you go ahead and say something, you have to walk that course out.
Mm,
You hear me? Most people, they don't, they be like, oh yeah, I want this. Girl, especially my beautiful women. Oh girl, I want this, that, da da da. I'm going, okay, yeah. And then once they get it, now here comes some extra things that they didn't, baby, you better be detailed about what you want. And then you better move to a point where you're like, no, 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 no. I gotta decree this thing. Now, once you get to decreeing, you gotta realize that certain things gonna come with that. It's gonna come with that you're gonna have to walk it through. So, okay, I don't want this no more, which oftentimes when we've had our sessions and we've been talking about manifestation, people are, I want to manifest it. I want it manifested right now. Okay, then it's right there, and they're like, nah,
Yeah.
this ain't what I asked for. This is
Yeah.
no, baby, that's what you asked for, but you weren't specific about how you need to get that. And then
Yeah.
it's going to change up based on how many times you've gone through a process of a walk, because now source needs to see if it can trust you with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Most people can't be trusted with themselves.
Yeah.
Girl, if you don't go over there with your little pretty self and sit down and just sit
Mhm.
with yourself for a minute, forget about everybody. No, just go sit down.
I
Okay, just
love that. I love that because I'm gonna be real, man. And that's one thing. I don't remember who it was. It was somebody in the try to say like people always want to talk about other people. They don't never talk about themselves. That's something I take pride in. Is like talking about the real things or real challenges that that I deal with in life because I
yes.
know I ain't perfect and I ain't never gonna be. But damn it, I still can try. So I'm a, but I know who I am. I know what I can and can't do, and I know where I got challenges and problems. So
But how did
um,
you know that? Because you walked, right? Because you kept
and being
trying.
real with myself.
Exactly. You
Being real
kept
with
doing
myself.
something.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought that was a taboo for me, that particular statement that you did, because I did the
Mm,
same thing. That
yeah.
was considered a taboo. So many years ago, it wasn't, you don't talk about yourself. I was literally on podiums looking, telling people, listen, this is what I did.
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z, da, da, da.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my,
Yes.
what? What do you?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
other part about that, that's me taking back my power as well. That's
Yeah.
you owning your totality as
Oh
well.
yeah. Yeah.
That's you setting and writing the narrative and
Yeah.
rewriting. So now no one can come and speak to you about something that you've done in the past, blah, blah, blah. You already done told on yourself and you're walking out a new version of it. That
Mm-hmm.
narrative, that narrative is dead.
Yep.
So for us, we're talking about again that awakening period of souls. For the awakening of the divine feminine, when she gets in that, I mean, it's profound when she uses all three of her wounds. And then
Mm-hmm.
she's so sturdy on that she can just breathe life. But now I'm just gonna stand here in my presence. Why do we like what we call big mamas, grandmama, those the women figures that they just sitting with wisdom? Why do we like them?
Mm-hmm.
Because they sit and move with grace, right? But when they
Mm-hmm.
open their mouth, and it's all calm, cool, collects. Every once in a while, she'll say, elevate her voice. But it's because she didn't work through these three levels of the wound that she understands that, okay, this is how you move a room, honey.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't got to say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else about you is speaking for you already. So we take all these tools, right? We take all the tools that we're talking about, sitting with the self, having your meditation, breathing. Start your journey. Don't worry about what somebody else is doing or how far along they are. That's we all learn at our own levels in due course. Once you start to move in that for yourself, this is how you start to operate and you start affecting things. You start calling things forth before you get to an event. You start moving because now source knows, and source is within the higher self, knows that it can trust you with yourself. You ain't just gonna just fall off the wagon. You're going, oh no, I'm gonna stand for this. I'm
Yeah.
gonna stand for this.
Yeah. But what about
Powerful.
the people who have like challenges where they know they can fall off the wagon, but they do it anyway, right? So I'm gonna use myself as as the example. My my pops was here this past weekend, and we was chopping it up, and I don't know how we got on the subject, but it was about having self control, right? So there's a couple things I know I'm challenged with self control. So what I do is I position
Mhm.
myself to not be in the environment or
Yes, yes,
be
yes,
in
yes, yes.
the path of the line of sight where some of these things that I know is a challenge for me, that I know I struggle with, I'm not going to allow to take over me. So sweets, like eating sweets, like ice cream or things
It'd be the simplest thing.
like I know sometimes it can overconsume me, man. You can have
Yeah,
too much of a good thing sometimes, and it's a problem. So I'd be like, I ain't messing with that right now. Or I love to
correct.
play Madden, like John Madden on PS4 or 5, whatever. Like that's one of them things I love it so much. I know I can't do it because I'm not going to let it take over me, because that can
That's right.
happen. Like things can go left if I do that. So I'm not going to let myself be in a position to do that, because I know, my limitations when it comes to weaknesses. So those are sweets and Madden are two of my weaknesses. But I say all that to say, I know that there are people out here who, including myself, who sometimes we still do things that we know is a challenge for us to like
Mhm.
lose control. So what are some of the self-talk or like maybe conversations or affirmation that you can kind of give us for people who may have challenges with things that they struggle? Like, for example, sweets. Like I love to eat sweets, and I got to make myself earn it. Like I'm only going to allow myself to indulge if I have a certain amount of days I hit the
No,
gym, or,
no,
what I'm saying? Like,
facts. Facts. So if you're okay, so even taking that for in consideration, sweets. The biggest thing you need to ask yourself is, why do you like sweets?
hmm,
What? And sometimes you can trace that already back to your childhood. When's the
yeah.
first time you got a sweet?
Yeah,
What
I
you get a
can't
sweet
remember,
for?
but I know it's childhood.
What was the why that?
Don't know.
Okay, again, it's still us questioning or asking questions to ourselves. You know what? We hold the biggest secrets of ourselves. We
Mm,
hold secrets
mm,
to and of ourselves. So I had to, and I've done a lot of little. I give a lot of little homework assignments, but the biggest thing is you being able to identify why you're doing something.
mhm,
Why? Because once you realize why you're doing something, atypically, if it's something that is not good for you, you will turn that into moderation because
mm,
you realize why. Oh, I'm just doing this because this reminds me of when I was two and da 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 da, or when I was with my mother, or it's something that you do for a reason. So why do you do it? So you get
mm,
instant gratification? Is that helping you with instant gratification? Because
mm.
sometimes whatever that is, you need it right now. That's what most people say about sugar, right? Sugar just
Yeah,
gives you such a high.
yeah,
It's boom.
yeah, it's
Okay,
addictive.
so now internally, now that you've identified that, what else gives you that high?
Mm,
Find something else that will give you that same sense of, you know what I mean? That's
yeah,
better for you.
yeah,
Like, okay, well, even with smokers, so you say, okay, well, they're a smoker. Why do they do that? What is that? Okay, so it starts from some people, anxiety. So now, okay, what do they do? What is the act of smoking? You do this, da, da, da. Okay, so learn to do
eating it.
something else with your hands.
Mm,
What is it? That's one way, because clearly it's an act. You know what
yeah,
I mean? I like my peace pipe, my altar pipe. Yeah, it's an act. Why do you like doing it? That
mm,
what am I getting from this when I do this? That
mm,
that's the part that we kind of just overlook that part. Once you start
mm,
owning and asking questions of the self, so what am I getting from this? Why do I do this? That will help you change that narrative if that narrative for you or application for you isn't helping you in your current situation. It's kind of like tapping into the internal part of when I made mention to people, all of us carry our past, present, and our future all in the same time. Some of us weigh more back on the past because it's held or it's bound to a thought, which actually played out in some form of an action. So that is the biggest thing, because yes, and that's where self-sabotage comes in.
mm,
So
mm.
usually it's a person avoiding a part of themselves that they needed maybe at one time. So when people go through trauma or you've gone through trauma, you usually develop a certain defense. I know I did. There's a certain way of acting, of thinking, presenting myself when I feel like there's a certain situation that reminds me of that trauma. Now, how do you know you've moved past that trauma? Is now you're able to identify that trauma and you don't need to use those other tools that you once needed at one time. Now you can face that thing head on and you just maneuver. Okay, I see what that is. Okay. But oftentimes we keep the things that no longer, again, service us because it was used for a previous time. And that sometimes rolls into the things that sabotages us based on whatever journey. So if you're trying to go in the gym and make everything happen, but you eating 2 or 3 donuts
Yeah.
beforehand,
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and get this right now. It's
Yeah.
based on some form of action or thought or feeling that you had prior to.
Yeah. You can't put the cart before the horse, though. You got to make sure you get the horse in front of that cart, boy, because you ain't going to be going nowhere to put the cart in front of it. Oh, man. Man, I tell you. Okay, so I know time is getting, we're getting there on that time, but I definitely, I think it was like a couple more things we was going to hit that if we got time, I'll run them out. Huh?
We're doing good, honey. We're doing
Yeah. We do it good. We do it good. Yeah, we still got the tribe in here, man. Tribing. So, I think we hit most of everything. But one of the things that we started on, and I believe it was my fault for turning down another Boulevard Avenue in the Ashe Street. I don't know which one I turned on, but I went down a different one. But we started getting into the spiritual baths, and I think I might have had an idea. Something popped up, and I think I threw you off for that one. But I wanted to, before we go into the significance of spiritual baths, or maybe even if you can share, maybe I don't know, maybe how to do one or two, if you're so inclined, or if that's something that you might want to share with us. How I've noticed I've been doing this lately, with just showers, right? And this is just regular, taking a shower. I've been saying mantras or saying affirmations, in the shower, or some of my brightest ideas or deepest revelations come when I'm in the shower, and I'm pretty sure it has something to do with this beautiful conduit that we call water. That you so just so happen to be a child of one of the most, if not the most, prominent deity in regards to this thing called Umitutu or Agua H2O, whatever you want to call it, water. What is like? I know there's a lot of similarities and a lot of alignment, and I know there's a lot of connectivity with this conduit that we call water. But when it comes to the spiritual baths, or even just self-talk or just communication within the womb of water, whether it's the shower, the tub, the hot tub, sauna, whatever. What are some of the things that we can use to like maximize our connectivity to water when we're immersed in water, whether it's the shower or the bathtub, etc.?
Oh, you said that very well, and I believe men ought to do more of this as well. Big time. Especially, and the other thing, if women help them along with that, oh my God, the woman drawing the bath for the man to help him do a spiritual bath.
I should.
But overall, and when we're talking about the water, because we are water, I think I may mention to it before the element of you actually taking that spiritual bath is you going back to that womb, you being in that womb, that egg place, that fetus state, and being able to program that for yourself. So when you made mention to the mantras, you need to make yourself a whole ritual.
Can you say that one more time? I'm gonna get out your way. Can you say that one more time? I'm about to get off the screen because I like that.
You need to make yourself a whole ritual. You need to make yourself a whole ritual. You need to be that ritual. You are that walking altar. We built altars to our ancestors. We built altars to even things and people we don't even know. It's just real. I mean, we look around the world, there's buildings and statues and, just this sort of thing. Make yourself the ritual in a spiritual bath. Now, based on whatever it is that you're doing, or wanting to take the spiritual bath for, you're going to have that, you're going to have different things that you can use for that. I want to make it more general because everybody's going to customize a spiritual bath to themselves. The key things that I would always say with that is before taking a spiritual bath, and first and foremost, set the environment, set the overall environment as much as possible. That means you're cleaning everything. You're cleaning everything everywhere, especially in the corners of your house. I know that because this is a tribe of people that have inner and overstanding on various degrees, you're going to understand that you need to make sure that your doorways are clean. The area that you're placing your body in needs to be clean. And depending on where you are in the walk, you want to make sure that your mantras, your writing, the things, you have intent for the bath is the biggest thing. You have intent for yourself. If you have a physical altar, that's good. Start there. You know what I mean? You first start there, burn those candles, set the intention. I often have, I teach the ladies and some men that you go ahead and you keep a deck of cards, the postcards, and you use the postcards and you sit with yourself, affirmations, things that you would like to decree over yourself, things that you want to release. You're using your ancestral money. You're going ahead and you're taking that ancestral money and you're decreeing a certain thing. You're casting a certain spell. You're also paying homage to the realm in which that is not visible by the natural eye. You can also burn and sow to yourself. Now, all of this is a part of what I teach as a spiritual bath. It's not just, okay, I'm gonna just go hop in the bath and put some pretty little flowers in, that sort of thing. That's well and dandy. However, I really like to build a foundation for my own spiritual baths and what I teach other people to do for themselves. So you're not just tossed to and fro, because some people will say, oh, well, I can't do a spiritual bath because I don't have this particular item. No, you want to be able to be your own conductor. So starting at that altar, taking that time to sit with the self mentally first, knowing that which it is that you are desiring as a fulfillment in your life, not a not a want, a fulfillment, because that hits different. Okay, that's not something that's sometimey. Okay, sitting with that, starting there, lighting the candles, you've cleaned your space. So that's the space outside of the bathtub. The other thing is having certain people around. When I've taken my own spiritual baths, there's only certain people that can come into that room. They must be sage. They must have the inner and overstanding of what it is that I'm doing, because this is a ritual. This is a sacred place. This is a womb area, a portal area.
Yeah.
So that area, the external of the bathroom needs to be clean. The internal of the bathroom needs to be clean. All right. All of that, you're setting intention. Whatever you want, you're setting intention, but you're starting with yourself. Shower first. Everything cleansing down. Okay. Everything. Then you're going into the bath that you've set, whether you've added crystals, flowers, oils, salts. The other part of that is wherever you're at, you want to make sure that you have the intent, which is very powerful when you're sitting in that water. So you're already programming the water with a Hertz music, and I say a Hertz music, because there's no words attached to it. Okay. You want a clear channel. You want to be a clear portal for yourself, especially coming from the altar, moving into a transition where you're like taking yourself back to the womb. You're taking yourself back to a womb that now you're creating. Okay. So when you're sitting in that water, now you're programming the self. You allow yourself center first the breath. So now you're doing those breath works that you were doing external of the bathtub or out in the yard, this sort of thing. Now you're taking that time and you're doing that within this water. Now the water that is in your body is now aligning with the water that is external of you, with your crystals, your salt, all of these different elements that you want for the self. You're putting them in there. But the biggest thing that you're carrying is what is in your mental mind and contained in your heart. And in that particular state, as you're sitting there allowing yourself to sup, this is when you call things forth over yourself. This is when you tap into yourself and allow yourself to just completely go blank. And the more you do it, the more, how we call it, serene, the more centered you are, the more you literally can take yourself and time loop. Like you can literally travel in that particular bath water that you're in. It depends on how intentful you are, how you really want to resonate on a higher level. Again, importance, people around you, they got to be saged up. They got to be cleansed. Don't allow that space of energy of people around you. Okay, that is, if they're not aligned, keep that out, because now you've opened. Once you're in there, you have opened yourself up as a big portal. All right, and after you finish doing this, you're going to allow yourself to pat yourself dry. No, nothing harsh. Nothing. No, none of this rubbing. Da da da. Allow yourself to air dry. Sit. And you're now in the midst, and it will feel very magical. It'll feel mystical, all of that, because you raise the vibration, not only of the physical body, but the spiritual body. And in that, you move, pat yourself dry, take yourself back to that altar, and you close out it's a ceremony, it's a ritual to yourself. Take yourself back to that altar and close that altar out with that which you were downloaded with, because the more you do it, you will be downloaded with, because you've opened your space up to something that is beyond the self. You've used the physical tools to help elevate yourself to a certain level that you can bring down that which is servicing you now in the present and for the future. It can be very, very, very powerful.
Oh yeah.
And again, with aligned people, so a woman drawing a bath for a man and doing the same thing, or vice versa, them taking it together, very powerful, very powerful. Which is it's a really, really good thing. It's a really beautiful experience. But make yourself the ritual.
I love that.
Yeah, and you just got to make sure the exterior is clean, because once the other part of that is, once people finish with their spiritual baths, what they do is they forget that they've opened themselves as a portal, and they don't close the portals back. They don't close and cover themselves, cloak themselves invisibly, cloak yourself invisibly. And then they go straight on out into the world, and you open, and now you got all these extra things, and like, what?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I was supposed to be clear and fresh,
Yeah.
Well, you left yourself open, so you need to make sure you close the portal.
Yeah, that is so real, and even so much so. I've been doing. Excuse me. I think this week, since I got back, I've been doing like Ori work, working with my Ori, right? So in regards to doing that, of course, water's involved, but one of the main things that, and you kind of triggered a lot of thoughts for me. But one of the main things that is extremely important is, like you said, to make sure that you cloak yourself, but make sure that you cover your head, like head wraps, especially white, white head wraps or anything that can cover your head if you've done anything spiritually in regards to, the mind's eye, opening up that mind's eye, that portal of being able to, work with the pituitary gland or the pineal gland, or, any of that crown chakra area, vicinity of circumference. You want to make sure that you cover your head and make sure that you're covering up, that crown chakra, as well as primarily trying to work with wearing white clothes, because that white is like a shield, for the moths, the parasitical low vibrational frequency moths that will come and try to ratchet up and muck up your, that ashe that you just, cleansed and cleared. And that goes back to even those who have reached the pinnacle of their spiritual journey, in the Ishe traditions. When you go through certain ceremonies, you have to go through Oshun. You got to start at the water. That's where it starts. At the water of the mothers. You know what I mean? So it's like, when you're going into that water, whether it's at the river, it's at the ocean, it's at a grove, or it's at, a pond, whatever, we're still accessing, or we should be like Nkosi said, venerating, or empowering the essence of the feminine, of the divine, feminine, as well as the water, right?
Right, most definitely. And program the candles. You can program your candles, understanding what the candles means, black, and that you can actually do so much for yourself in ritual work because it's so expansive, and it's going to continue to expand based on your desire to find more and more out about yourself.
That's
You
true.
definitely, so you can definitely use the candles. I literally, and I've there's a whole program that I have with the ladies with the baths and just different things. But certain people love crystals, and there's a certain thing that you can do with those crystals. But adding all these different things, because they're energy. I mean, it's natural energy. You put those crystals in the water, But at the same time, you take your
I keep them around me, man. I got
yes,
them all over the place.
yes. They are going to trigger and they will react. And the more you know about them, the more you can do that because you're still earth. You can literally lay out in the sun with those crystals all over your body. People may think that you done lost your mind. I did people thought I lost my mind. But my body, my aura field, my energy was moving, and it shifted the room wherever I went. Because I was paying attention to that, especially around the family. It shifted the room. It helped cleanse the room because I now was walking as my own altar. So using candles like that as well. So you writing on the candles, cleansing the candles, these certain little details is what we all need to know when we're doing certain rituals to ourselves. Because the biggest thing is we don't want to leave ourself open.
Yes.
Where we can attract, because everything is attracted to the light. That's what people forget. They might want to be the light, but honey, everything's attracted to the light. So the low vibration is attracted to the light too, boo-boo. So, and it may come smiling, saying, hey, here, you want this? But you never know it's going to come. So you want to make sure you're covered in an aspect of divine masculine and feminine. And that's where we balance each other. That woman being the covering for that man's back, and him being the head, the covering for her in the front, she covers back. Hello, it's just like it's one of those rituals that we've gotten away from. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? It's kind of like walking down the street. You see a man and woman. Now I'm starting to see the men, the women, the men on the inside of the street and the women on the outside of the street. I know some people be like, well, what does it matter? We both walking down the street. Okay, well, and let's just keep it 100. It may not matter to you. It may not matter to you, but the other elements that may come from that will matter to you. It's not just the way, because the depth is how we present ourselves. It's how we present ourselves. And as a woman, and she's awakening to the power that she has within in this time and in this season, that's opening up multiple layers of herself, multiple layers, just like a flower, multiple layers, just like the lotus. She's going to open multiple layers, and she's got to be able to stand and be seated here, feeling her power, her authority, being able to speak, nurture, love, protect, as well as heal and chasten with love, ease, and grace. So that flower, they say peeling the onion. I'm going to say you're going to open up that flower, that lotus, right? You're going to open that lotus. And once you open that lotus, you're going to see and tap in. You're going to see all these other things. And the depth is center the self, focus the self, so you won't be overwhelmed by the power that lies within. There's so much power there. So much power. And know that in that power, oftentimes it's going to be challenged. And by the people nowadays, by the people you least expect. It's going to be challenged. So if you're owning it, you're rooted. There you go. You're rooted. When you need to, you can close it up. And we don't. It's a woman. It's just birthing life here, baby. We birthing life. We're going to preserve it. We're going to birth life again. But first, birth you. That awakening of the woman, that helps the man ring through. That helps your community. That helps. And even if you don't see it, Bob, baby, you need to know that it is working. Stay the light, but also realize everything's attracted to you. It's up to you to decide what you're going to allow to encompass. When you close up the flowers, what are you holding on to? How are you standing? How are you seated? That's a big one. That's a big one. We have so much power as women. We really, really do. Hold yourself accountable for you. Set your
Mm.
standards high. Set your standards high. No, really. And I don't mean the bad bitch stuff. Pardon.
Louder for the people in the back.
I don't mean the bad bitch stuff. Come on now. I get the premise. But come on now. We done watered that down so much that it's ridiculous. It's looking ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
making us
want it.
look kind of bad.
I don't want none of that.
No,
Y'all keep on. Them ones who on that, y'all. Nope.
no,
Mm-mm.
no.
No, no,
She's
no.
got a lot. So you've got a lot, ladies. You got a
Mm,
lot, women. 3 wounds. How you using them?
mm,
Take time. I call them chessboards. Make a chessboard for yourself, your personal self. Make a chessboard for your family or exterior, I would say exterior people. So it can be colleagues, work. I mean, not work, but it can be people that you know around. And then you make a chessboard for your life expansion first, career, and things of that sort. You're
mm.
playing against yourself.
I sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Listen, so I got one more last question.
Yes.
I meant to bring this up too earlier. But
Ashe,
I forgot.
harmony.
Um, I was watching a clip off of. I meant to bring this up on our last episode, so it came up again tonight for me to make note of it. But I was watching a clip. I think it was from the Breakfast Club. With yeah, it was the Breakfast Club with Felicia Rashad was on there, and I think it was just hilarious.
Ooh,
And another
love
sister,
her.
I can't remember the name, but they were kind of like going back and forth, kind of going back and forth at a little cattiness or whatever, right? But Felicia Rashad said something to them that kind of got both of them to kind of like chill, and kind of like get out of that low vibrational tizzy moment, and then kind of
Mm,
raise them back up into their queenhood, right? But it was
mm,
so dope because I've seen how I've used this term before, but I feel like everybody can, or most people will, agree with it. But when a lion walks in a room, a lion's not gonna roar and let you know he's in the room. The lion's
mm,
gonna be the presence of everybody in that room is gonna know that lion walked in the room when it walked in because that's what it is. So I feel like Felicia Rashad has that presence about her. She has that
mm,
regalness that that just she
mm,
just speaks of
mm,
of divine feminine. She literally does to me. She like speaks of that. When you see her, you have to kind of anybody who has respect for the divine feminine, you
yes.
have to kind of acknowledge her regalness, her royalness, her her divine feminineness, right? So she, I feel like, set the tone for the energy in that situation, and it really resonated with me even as a man because that showed me almost
Mm,
like the lion walking in the room. Like, so when with
mhm,
her being there in the room, her presence was known that there is a alpha queen in this room, and
mhm,
this is what the pinnacle of what that queenship looks like, right?
mhm,
So with that, we've talked amongst the tribe and the guests that's been on here, especially the men, the brothers, about how the power of the healed divine feminine can really change the
mm,
world, right? So with you
mm,
being a child of the mother of mothers, with you being
mhm.
a mother, with you being someone who I, consider to be carrying the grace of the divine feminine, can you kind of share
Ashe.
with us from your personal, regalness, with having that same energy that I feel like that a Felicia Rashad, or women of that,
Ashe.
nature will carry. Can you share with us your perspective of what we can expect to see when we have that activation of the divine feminine and what that looks like when that
Mm,
happens to the rest of the
ooh, ooh. That's major. Beloved, that's major. That's I'm going to give like an example first. Uh, Amongst doing a lot of modeling, as I said, I would teach ladies to become models, to sign with big agencies. Um, you have to teach them format, etiquette, grace, this sort of thing. once a woman, once any of the models, let's put it that way, once any of the models started to really own who she was, so omitting whatever aspect, good, bad, or indifferent, and she put it into a certain discipline, there was a cohesiveness that just spiraled, and it would just hit the next woman. It just flowed and hit the next one and the next one. And then when they all moved together, it literally moved the energy in the room. It moved the energy. And I'm there, of course, I'm instructing these ladies how to do this. But I got to be and bear witness to the power of the energy of the woman and the discipline that she holds within when she uses it with intention, with great intention. I was sitting there like, oh, this is what the it's an energy, it's a movement, and it's something that I believe would balance out so much. Oh my goodness. I believe it would really balance out so much. It would heal so much of what we've seen as now this is what I would call generational curses, certain things that are just repeating in culture life itself, like the same type of what I look at spiritual things that are happening. I've trained a lot of ladies, and I speak more about just the mama aspect of looking at my daughter and raising her first to be a person herself, being a woman herself, not be my daughter, but be who she's meant to be. And in that essence, telling her, listen, these are certain things that you can do, but I had to be the example of, right? And being the example of means I'm always showing up for myself, regardless of how I feel and how I move. So what that did was that basically I impregnated my daughter. And what my daughter did was when she would go out into the field, so we can bring some scripture, that Proverbs 31 woman just went out into the field, but she went out based on a lineage, legacy. Here comes the heir. Now, when she went into a space, because she was confident and told in herself and had a foundation within herself, she was now able to impact those. So it's the same thing that happened with a group of women. Here's these models that once they got in line, they were able to cut through the atmosphere because they moved and everybody could feel, whoa, there's an energy here. And then you would hear later in the reports, oh, I know that these girls or this model had to been trained by you. She's with that agency, but she had to been trained because there was something I birthed off of me because of my tilling my own garden and standing and watering and nurturing. I was able to pour that into these ladies and then pour it into my daughter. And now my daughter goes and pours it into her youth. It expands greatly. It expands so greatly. So just like things that are not so tastefully done at this time and season all the time, like I love to dance. Okay, women, I have to say this, my sister, I love to dance. We've gotten out of hand with the twerking and all of this extra stuff at baby showers. It's just all out of order. We bring order and balance. We bring order and balance. The man is there to guard and protect, and we bring order and balance. It's not to say we can't guard and protect, but we do it from a different space. Okay, yes. If somebody walk up and do some physical harm to my baby, I'm gonna throw these hands. Don't get it twisted. But that's not where I'm going to first. If there's nobody there, I'm going to go here first. I'm going to sit in my quiet space first. I'm going to use this wound first. We have that type of power, but we have to have ourselves in a certain order, in a certain discipline. We got to know the etiquette of a room. We set so many trends. You know, that was one of my biggest things. Here I was teaching all of these different nationalities of women, and I was like, where are we? Where am I? We set the trends. We just need to know who we are, stand on who we are, set the precedents, walk in the room with that esteem, hold ourselves in such grace. Not that we can't have fun, not that we can't do certain things, but how we do it. That's classy. How we move, how we operate, how we speak, that is forever. And once we plant that, that's how effective. I see that being so effective to a point that these events that I say, you know, that I would always do and gather these women were owning businesses. They're doing this and that. The depth is once you put all those women together and they own their own lane, you're not worried about what she doing. You're not trying to have what she doing. You're there doing you, which helps her support that particular type of support helps another woman be her. So now, once you're all together and you're aligned in being who you are as individuals, collectively, that becomes a force field that impacts others to do the same because we are the wonder wounds. We're the wonder wounds, mama. We're wonder wounds, and we have 3 of them, and we need to use those effectively. By us using that effectively, that will pass down and through generations after us and in the present time. I also believe that men that are on a certain board, the ones that are not necessarily, you know, all affirming of the divine feminine, they'll start to turn, they'll have to turn. The biggest thing I would tell people as well, you know what? You don't have to like me, honey. You have to respect me, though, because I'm going to line up all the time with myself. So you don't got to like me, but you respect me. And how do you get that respect? That respect is earned. It's not just given. Even though in today's time, you can have a whole bunch of money and people give you respect, but that's that fleeting respect. As soon as your money's gone, as soon as you stop, the respect is out the window. So we have to position ourselves in that on the throne. I think I can leave it simply at that. We have to position ourselves on a spiritual throne within our mind and rule and be that. So it help align those that are around us because we really can change the atmosphere. We create everything else. We're the nurturers of the castle, of those that come. They sup off the breast of the woman. So once we get that in line, I see that it would just be a clean and clear, not like things won't happen, but there'll be a balance, a serenity, a peace, a balance completely in who we are and who we're meant to be. That's what I see because I've watched my own life and others and how just being obedient to self first, being disciplined to self, no matter what type of violation and all this other drama that I've gone through in my life, being obedient, moving through that, staying the course, stay the freaking course, and don't be ratchet. Come on now, just don't be ratchet. The ratchet ain't helping. It's not helping. You can be cute like I don't know. That part it really disturbs me. It really does. Just like, come on, y'all.
So you're saying the bonnet behavior is not it?
Why though? I just don't know why. Like what I see is women wanting too much attention. We all can do that. I can twerk too. Yeah, honey, there's a time, place, and season to be twerking.
That part. It's not in the grocery store. It's not in the bathroom at the restaurant.
No. Just leave it to the club. You're going to go ahead and twerk, baby. Go on, twerk in the club. Y'all having a party. That makes sense. It's etiquette. Show yourself approved. You know what I mean? Approve of yourself. You approve of yourself of that? Seriously. So you're going to be about 45 and you going to see yourself twerking and thinking that's cute. But the fact that you can see certain women twerking at their own children's birthday party, I mean, you can express yourself how you choose to, because we all learn at different times. But you got to know too much of that has other people doing it the same. So it's like a repetitive thing. And first thing people think is everybody's going to twerk to solve a problem. What problem? Let's serve it nobody's problem, honey. Just it's ratchet. It's the wrong order of things. That's us overly exposed. No. Oh, honey, that's a whole nother show. Fashion.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But,
No, it
but
is.
I see it as balance, and I see it that it really would be beautiful to see women owning that, because we have the power to shift things. We have the power to do that.
Yeah. And it's I love what you said, because everything is in moderation, all that, but the environment is everything. And shout out to another dope guest that we'll have next week coming. But I remember him saying, some people have the right gift but in the wrong environment. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
nice.
Let's use a street pharmacist. Let's use Big Meech, right? Big Meech had the right gift. He just manipulated it, or he utilized it in the wrong environment. You take that same gift and you put him in the boardroom, and I guarantee you have another what's my dude's name? Another which this is another show within itself too. Reginald Lewis. I don't know how many people know about Reginald Lewis. He was the first black billionaire, right? So most of us have never heard his name before, from Maryland, right? Baltimore, Maryland. Reginald Lewis should be a household name in every black household in the world. He was the first that I know of in the corporation we call United States of America. He was the first black billionaire, right? So he had, I feel like Big Meech had a Reginald Lewis type of gift, a generational type of gift. He just was in the wrong environment.
Yes, absolutely.
So we ain't knocking sexy ladies. I love sexy, but let's be classy with it. That's all. We gotta be classy. I think every man loves sexy, at least as far as I know. But
leave something to the imagination, please. Can we? I love looking at beautiful women. I don't want to sleep with a woman, so let's keep that 100. But I edified women. Oh yes, girl. Plus size. This I taught all different shapes and sizes of women how to present themselves. Okay, baby, but leave something to the imagination. Maybe I was a man in my former life, some king or something that was just like, not her. No, not that. No, she's not. No, I need quality. I need a queen that can move on the chessboard properly and not show everybody her ass. That's for me. Come on, something is too much. It's too much. Some beautiful women, but then I understand that too, because in the modeling industry and for myself, these women lack confidence. So this is confidence. This is me showing my confidence, baby. You can show your confidence properly covered and garbed. You can use your confidence right here. You can use your confidence. Leave something to the imagination. I love seeing a woman stand in her essence, but do it with class and sophistication, that you won't have to look over your shoulder. You don't have to worry about this and that. Unnecessary for yourself even. You know what I mean? We're supposed to be the examples for the ladies that are coming up behind us, or actually right across from us. So this is a big thing. Please, my beloveds, y'all too pretty. When you see a pretty woman and she just, she pretty. Why she got all up? I'm the first one. I'm the first one. Be like, oh baby, I'm her. I'm gonna root for the girls. Her dress outline. Nobody else ain't gonna say. I'm coming right over there, and I'm gonna do it subtle. Baby, let me fix this for you right here. Yeah, I'll tap that right there. Okay. I don't know her from Adam, but I'm still gonna be the woman that's like, oh baby, that's you though. You rock the way you want to, but why we gotta see everything? Come on, you can use your room so much better than this. You can use it with your clothes on. You can use that. Boop boop. Have people bowing down. You don't have to do all that extra, but it's put out now that's whatever they call it, the bad bitch or whatever.
Yeah. We're not endorsing that behavior over here. I don't want no smoke with the bad bitch tribe, but they don't. We don't do that around here. We do
That's
queens and
fine.
goddesses around
As I
this
said,
part.
that's fine for them to do that. But we got to really own the fact that we're actually perpetuating this to the
Yeah,
next generation.
yeah.
It's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Really. Let's do it better. I can show you how to do it better. I can show
No, that's
you
right.
some nice outfit. I designed a lot of couture dresses, honey. Flawless
Mm,
damn. Little dress.
that's it.
But you covered the
Mm,
body. It fits the body properly. It's just
mm,
like, just give them a little taste, baby. A little taste,
that's
they're going to come back for more. You give them the whole dish, they're not going to want to buy it. They're not
mm-mm,
going to want to be with it.
mm-mm.
Okay,
Nope.
that's a hard fact that most women don't want to believe. But trust me, I don't care really. I'm just
Mm.
keeping that 100. I don't care.
Truth hurts
Because
sometimes.
it's the truth. A truth is the truth.
Yeah.
You know, he'll take it out for a while, but he ain't gonna respect it.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like a
You want
rental car, man. People don't treat rental cars the same way they do their own car. I can tell you
ooh, you
that.
better tell the
I'm
truth.
just saying. So yeah, don't get a rental.
Yes. I had to say that though, because I
Don't
love
get
my
a rental.
women. I love y'all. I love my sisters for real.
Mm,
Real time.
that's
Let's see us floss in a different way. You know what I mean? Let's floss in a different way. Let's flex in a
mm,
different way.
that's it.
Let the clothes go beyond the clothes, you know, go
Mm,
beyond the fashion.
mm,
Who are you really? Who are you
mm,
really?
mm. Well, I believe that they are the divine feminine that is awakening and awakened. So that's what
Hey,
I'm gonna say. That's my O4 Ashe for the day.
I agree that. Seconded. Divine source.
Ashe, Ashe. That's what's
Also,
up. Well, tribe, this has been another one.
thank
DJ
you.
Khaled, another one. You know, I
And
definitely
another
give
one.
thanks. Another one. I give thanks, for coming through, man, and doing what you do, and the tribe are coming through and tribing,
Thank
man. I appreciate
you.
all y'all, the loves, the likes, the shares, the comments, the feedbacks, even the hate. I appreciate that too, because you don't know, you're still
Hmm.
helping us, even with throwing the shade. Engagement
Hmm.
is currency, so we appreciate that too, man. So with that though, I appreciate you. I appreciate
You.
taking the time to share with us and dropping the wisdom and the goddess Imoja, Yamaya, Ashe,
Thank you.
in these Ashe streets. We give thanks on the way. And man, yeah, I look forward
Oh,
to doing it again.
you. Thank you to the tribe and all those that are at the sound of our voice. I just speak a word of just clarity, divine wisdom, that you would expand in who you are, that you continue expanding in who you are, that you remove any limitations from your eyes, that from your subconscious, your unconscious mind that would hinder or cause a void in your divine liberation and expansion. And we say Ashe O to the divine universe ancestors that services our highest good, but lead us in clarity for our life purpose and path. I give thanks to you, divine masculine, king, brother, Orisha. Continue expansion, beloved. May they know you in generations after you. Ashe.
Ashe, I accept, I appreciate, and I
Give
mudupwe,
thanks.
mudupwe, mudupwe. So be
Murutwa.
it. It is done.
Mhm.
And I give thanks, man. So with that, tribe, we have another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. Shout out to our guest, H.P.S. Yamaya. Faye. We give thanks to you. Excuse me. Thanks to all y'all who showed up tonight, man. We'll be back. We got another heavy week this week, tribe. We'll be back tomorrow for sure with the Big Chief. I think will be back. Brother Risa Stone, and we got the Big Three show. Cause we got a lot coming, family. So y'all stay tapped
You're
in
doing
with us,
your
man.
thing, baby. You're doing
I
your
appreciate
thing.
it. I appreciate it. I do.
You're doing your thing. Coverage to your family as well, beloved.
I
Coverage
should.
to your family.
I should. I appreciate it. And I definitely, likewise, I send it all out to all y'all as well, to you, to the Harris. I give thanks to both of y'all, for the work that you're doing and for, what we're doing and what I see in the future. I see some big things, man, coming. So I definitely appreciate it. And the just the sheer essence of E-Ray, E-Ray and EY Pele and the balance, and the masculine and feminine balance is it's aligning, and I'm giving thanks for it. So I appreciate it for sure.
Thank you, beloved. Have a
Ashe,
wonderful night, you guys. It's rising here, so have a wonderful
Ashe.
night.
Ashe. All right, tribe. So we'll see y'all tomorrow night. Don't forget to please like, share, subscribe, and we'll see y'all on the next episode. We out, family. Peace. Odabo.
ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé ṣàpò ìyàgbọ́ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo ṣe ní gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́ forsake not your ancestors and praise your.